So we're talking now with the guest. Lori LaFond is sitting right next to me, and Clifford Mealy is right next to her, and then next to her is Kelly Martin. And well, let me tell you where they're from. First of all, Lori is with the Washington Avenue, yeah, right. Washington County Grasslands, important bird areas. And we're going to be talking, so she's the president of that, and then Cliff is a photographer, does some wonderful photography, but he's also a part of their media team. And then next to her we have Kelly Martin, and Kelly is is involved with the New York State Rehab Council, Wildlife Rehab Council, and we're going to be talking to her as well. And I think she's brought a couple birds with her. What'd you bring with Kelly?
I brought a short-eared owl and an American kestrel.
Okay, and how did they fare coming in the?
Better than I did.
Okay,
they're native. They're used to it.
They're used to this kind of weather. And Clifford, you're a photographer. You take a lot of photographs.
I do, but the photographs we brought today I didn't take, and I want to make sure that Dr. Gordon Elmers, who was the photographer,
let's give him credit for that.
We should definitely give him credit.
And Lori, before we see the birds, can you tell us what the important bird area is? And I know that you just got an acquisition.
Yeah, we're very excited. We closed on our first land acquisition. We had 14 acres of critical habitat in the heart of the important bird area donated by Gerald and Joanne Loftus. So they're a very generous couple, and we really appreciate the donation. We also, while I'm thinking of it, we had a grant from the Alfred Z. Solomon Charitable Trust for a grassland bird viewing area that we're going to be putting on the Loftus parcel.
And that's going to be handicap accessible.
It's going to be handicapped accessible. We'll have a small parking area and a couple of viewing blinds so people can watch the birds without disturbing them. And that's really the most incredible thing, is to see the birds in their native habitat.
And what birds would we see if we came there? I mean, because are we going to see, let's take a look at what we might see. How about that? Let's talk about a segue. And what's the first one you're going to show us, Kelly?
I am going to take out, I will have Cliff hold this, the short-eared owl.
So some of the birds that we see out there, the short-eared owls hunt there, the American kestrel we've seen there.
Wow.
And it's a favorite spot for winter raptors and snowy owls and other grassland songbirds.
Now this is, oh, what a beautiful
This
bird.
is a short-eared owl.
And he's looking around. They do look wise, I have to admit that.
And this is an endangered bird.
Is this endangered?
Yes.
And why?
In New York State.
In New York State.
Well, one of the key reasons, it's a ground nesting bird. And because it's on the ground, it's more subjected to predators.
But do owls normally?
Not normally, but the short-eared is.
They do.
is a
You hear
ground
about barn
nester.
owls, they get, in the
Right.
barns and stuff, and then the white, the snow owls.
Snowy owls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How does this bird then protect itself during the winter? Because it's certainly not white.
Well, camouflage.
And ground,
Even though they're not white and there's snow cover, you still get kind of a mottled, look to the ground. They're not exclusively on the ground. They will find low perches and probably find shrubs and brush and things like that.
So it doesn't perch in trees?
Well, it can. It certainly has perching feet, but in terms of nesting, they nest on the ground.
Yeah. And what would this beautiful owl eat?
Primarily rodents, but as with any predator, they're somewhat opportunistic. So whatever presents itself that's kind of the right size, they'll certainly tackle things that we might think would be too big for them, but primarily small rodents.
Okay. And do they eat like insects at all?
In the summer, they probably do. Yeah.
Okay.
Crickets, grasshoppers, moths, larger insects.
I'm looking at that owl, and it looks like it's just listening to the conversation, looking back and forth. Okay, good. Yeah, that's I could really add to that, but I'm not sure. What a beautiful creature that is. I just love it.
It's funny you should mention listening, because that's their primary sense, is hearing. That accounts for their round faces. It's all a big listening dish.
The feathering around the eyes serves almost like a satellite dish for sound reception, directing sound into the ears. So they hunt primarily by sound reception, and then obviously have good eyesight for seeing at low light levels.
Right. Oh, I mean, I look at that creature and it's just like, oh my gosh. And
He
what
doesn't
else
wanna
did
look
you
at the
bring with us?
camera.
I'll let you kind of make the change while we chat a little bit.
All right.
Now, Lori, you would find these birds in your area.
Yes, the reason the short-eared owls are endangered is they are grassland raptor, and they nest and roost primarily on the ground. And grasslands is the fastest disappearing habitat in the U.S. We've lost a lot of our grasslands to development or reforestation. So this area, Washington County grasslands, important bird area, well, the whole grasslands is the largest nearly intact grassland left in eastern New York. And it's critical to the survival of short-eared owls, which there's less than 100 left on annual average in the state. American kestrel is a species of concern, and this habitat supports the kestrels and other threatened birds too.
Okay, well, when Kelly came in, I said, oh, I've seen them in, I think it was Costa Rica, it was where I saw it. But they were very colorful and large, so these are a little bit different then.
The American kestrel.
What makes a kestrel?
A kestrel actually is in the falcon species.
Oh, it's a falcon.
So
okay.
very quick way to identify a falcon from another hawk is to look for those black stripes, teardrops on the side of the face.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
All falcons have that. To some degree, they're more or less noticeable on individual species. But that and a notched beak puts them in the falcon family.
Because they can tear with that, yeah.
Yeah, kind of get things in the back of the neck and crunch the vertebrae.
Are you enjoying your breakfast?
An interesting thing about the kestrels, as opposed to some other hawk species or even the owl, which we said nests on the ground, kestrels are cavity nesters, so they require a hole in a tree. And as Lori was mentioning, grassland habitat disappearing, one of the limiting factors for kestrels and screech owls as well are nesting sites, because they need a hole in a tree to nest. So in today's world, where people are heating more with wood, cutting more trees down, and in the human eye, they see a dead, dying tree with a hole in it and think we might as well cut it because it's a dead, dying tree. But they often have the best nesting sites.
Well, I have to say, we have dead, dying trees because we had a lot of flooding, and we're in a flood area. And those trees we leave right there because we see the woodpeckers, we see a lot of the birds go in there. And now, granted, you know, a good storm might take one down, but we try and leave them up because we know, well, first of all, when the birds land on them, at least you can see them.
Yes, true. So we do encourage people to put up nest boxes, because these birds will use a box.
Oh, they will use a box.
And this would be the exact size and the size hole that you would use for a kestrel out in an open habitat such as the grasslands.
And you put it on a stake, like, right?
On a pole would be best, because then a raccoon can't climb and get its little paws in there to get the chicks. But it's also the right size for a screech owl, but that would be different habitat, placing that into the woods.
Okay, good. So how would people find, well, first of all, I want to mention you're having a Raptor Fest, so let's get that in before we end the segment, and that is in March.
Yeah, our 5th annual Winter Raptor Fest returns on March 28th and 29th. We're going to have Kelly will be there, and some of the other live bird of prey educators with some new programs, and we have more activities. We'll do the owl watches again. We've got the short-eared owls.
You just had an owl, or an owl tour or something.
Oh, we had an owl walk Saturday, or an owl watch and Winter Raptor walk, and we saw a good number of red tails. We got really great views of dark morph rough-legged hawk.
Oh yeah, there's some pictures there. Okay, good.
Yeah, these are the short-eared owls. They're incredible. It's awesome. They're active during daylight hours, so more around dusk or dawn, but it's one of the few owls that you have a chance to go out and see and get a really good view of. I've had as many as 24 flying up and around me when they come up to hunt, and then they'll forage right in front of you. It's an incredible sight, and that's one of the reasons we're doing this grassland bird viewing area, is so other people can come and see it. You know, it's a great area where people and owls can coexist, and you know, the owls are protected, but people can see them. They don't seem to be too disturbed as long as people stay, you know, along the road or the parking area, wherever the area we're going to have.
And where exactly is this? So if somebody, they could go to your website, of course, and we have your website up there, but where exactly is it?
It's in Fort Edward. The land we just acquired is on County Route 42 in Fort Edward. And there's also the DEC State area. Those are the two best places we had Saturday when we went out for our sightings. The little theater on the farm is usually good if there's standing hay in the fields. That provides cover and prey. Obviously, they're coming for the abundance of the mice and voles. So it's Winter Raptor Fest gives you a chance to meet a lot of the birds and learn about them. Free flight demonstrations and horse-drawn wagon rides, activities for kids. I wanted to mention the owl watches. Last year we got 4 snowy owls on our owl watch. They had good sightings in the morning. I think they got a short-eared owl in the morning. And the DEC biologist will be doing one of the walks on our property. Some of our volunteers will be doing a walk on Saturday, and we'll be doing owl watches Saturday night. We'll probably be adding a couple more of those as we get volunteers to help lead them.
And
Now,
it's
if
only
you're
about
interested
an
at all
hour
in
north.
this, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was only going to say it's only about an hour north of Schenectady.
Yeah, it's not very far, but if you'd like to, if you homeschool your kids, make sure you get out there and show your kids all these wonderful, the biology segment of your education. But I want to thank you all for being here and bringing the Quetzal. Oh my gosh, these are just incredible birds, and I'm so pleased to have them up close and personal. But check them out, go to their webpage, check it out, and please support these wonderful organizations that are doing some really great things for our environment and for the birds of prey especially. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.